Proverbs chapter 15. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge rightly, but the mouth of fools pours forth foolishness. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. A fool despises his father's instruction, but he who receives correction is prudent. In the house of the righteous there is much treasure, but in the revenue of the wicked is trouble. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, but the heart of the fools does not do so. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but he loves him who follows righteousness. Harsh discipline is for him who forsakes the way, and he who hates correction will die. Hell and destruction are before the Lord, so how much more the hearts of the sons of men. A scoffer does not love one who corrects him, nor will he go to the wise. A merry heart makes a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. The heart of him who has understanding seeks knowledge, but the mouth of fools feeds on foolishness. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but he who is of a merry heart has a continual feast. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure with trouble. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a fatted calf with hatred. A wrathful man stirs up strife, but he who is slow to anger allays contention. The way of the lazy man is like a hedge of thorns, but the way of the upright is a highway. A wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish man despises his mother. Folly is joy to him who is destitute of discernment, but a man of understanding walks uprightly. Without counsel plans go awry, but in the multitude of counselors they are established. A man has joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good it is. The way of life winds upward for the wise, that he may turn away from hell below. The Lord will destroy the house of the proud, but he will establish the boundary of the widow. The thoughts of the wicked are an abomination to the Lord, but the words of the pure are pleasant. He who is greedy for gain troubles his own house, but he who hates bribes will live. The heart of the righteous studies how to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours forth evil. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. The light of the eyes rejoices the heart, and a good report makes the bones healthy. The ear that hears the rebukes of life will abide among the wise. He who disdains instruction despises his own soul, but he who heeds rebuke gets understanding. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. Proverbs 15:1-2 says, A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge rightly, but the mouth of fools pours forth foolishness. Well, verse 1 is a great verse to remind us how our speech should be to everyone, but especially in situations where someone might be angry with us, or maybe they just disagree with us. And even when it's something that maybe isn't our fault, we need to be careful in our responses. We should always be giving grace back in our responses. We should never take whatever it is that's been said and throw it back into someone's face. We should always come in humility, even sometimes for apologizing for things that maybe it's not necessarily your fault. Maybe it's not something, maybe something you look at and say, well, technically it's the other person's fault. If we come before them with an apology, with a humility, that makes the relationship right. And many times it turns the relationship back to where it needs to turn. But it starts with us, because it's our response. Someone says something to us, we need to respond in the right manner. And even if we mess up and we might say something that someone takes out of context, we need to be able to be humble enough to be able to come back and reanalyze that and consider that we might be wrong in that. There's some other verses that the Bible teaches us about how to be a good example in our responses. And in just a couple of verses here, Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to other hearers. Colossians 4:6, let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one. And then Proverbs 21:23, whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from troubles. It's really just about how we respond in the moment. sometimes we will mess up, and in the moment we'll be really frustrated and angry. We need to have humility and be able to come back to that conversation and say, listen, I messed up. I shouldn't have said it this way. I shouldn't have done this. Do you forgive me? And approach it like that. And even if the other person doesn't want to forgive us, and even if in the back of our mind we're like, you know what, this isn't going to do anything, God still instructs us to make sure that our speech is sweet and that we're coming back and giving goodness to people instead of attacking them. We need to at least start that way and let God use the conversation as he sees fit. So be careful today in how your response is, especially you hear something. Don't respond right away. Think about it. Pray about it before you respond, and then respond appropriately. If it's in a conversation, just be careful as to the things that you say. Give grace to the hearers and allow them to allow your conversation to be sweet to them. Give them more space, even if you need to. But don't be afraid to be gentle and be humble in your conversations. All right, thanks again for coming today. I appreciate you coming by. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. God bless.